Good practice? Good. What was good about it?
Yeah, it's just good. We went in shells today. We've been beating on them pretty good. So, you know, a lot of walking and learning, not as fast paced. Hopefully we got something out of it.
So maybe one more pads and then the scrimmage?
We'll have pads tomorrow, and then we'll go Friday morning, and then try to scrimmage Saturday morning. Yep, then break camp, and then move forward on BC.
Do you feel comfortable about setting depth at this point, or there's still a lot of jobs open?
I mean, you know, I think we can break into scout teams anyway. You know, there still may be some individual battles at positions, but those kids wouldn't be on the scout team anyway. They'll be at practice.
I think Brandon Adams, how's he doing?
He's doing okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think remember.
He could be in the mix. We'll just see. I mean, a lot of it will depend on the rest of the week, that kind of thing. But he's got a chance to play. Like I said, the first 5 games is not going to be. You're going to have everybody there anyway. So.
Is there any idea what with Cottrell and when he'll be back? Or
he's back. He's
back now.
Yeah, he's been back the last 2 days.
With Parker Braun, is he in that top 4 at the guard right now, or do you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you anticipating him playing this fall?
I think all 3 of those guys may play.
Just because of how they're progressing or injuries?
Yeah,
or?
I think that they've got a chance to be as good or better than the guys in front of them. So.
For Jahaziel, I mean, I think we talked before, it's considerable considering he never played offensive line before.
And neither did Kenny, really. Kenny was a defensive lineman and tight end, fullback.
I mean, you don't anticipate necessarily that happening.
Playing football's football. I mean, if you're a pretty good player, you can play a couple positions, really. You know, other than quarterback, I don't know. And if you look, those guys last year, our 2 starting safeties were quarterbacks.
Right. So they knew with the backups.
A.J. Gray was a quarterback.
Right, that's right. Yeah. With Matthew and Taquan, how's?
Yeah, it's still going. They're still battling.
Would you do anything in particular in the scrimmage Saturday to try?
No, they'll both play with the way, you know, they both got to play with the ones last week. So we'll try to get them some reps and let it sort itself out.
Going back to the offensive line, do you think it's helped to have Coach West there maybe with the tackles?
I think it's good to have a couple of coaches because there's 5 guys and you get kind of instant feedback. It's easier for 2 to watch 5 than it is for 1 guy to try to watch 5 guys. It's hard.
Do you feel like anyone's separating themselves from the Eason and Andrew Marshall at the left tackle?
No, I think that's the one position that's still probably up in the air.
Imagine probably you can go pretty far into game prep with that.
They're play regardless, so it's, you know, they'll probably rotate in and out right now anyway. So.
Is it those 2 or is Jake Stickler still?
Jake hadn't practiced for a few days, but he's on the other side actually. He and Jahaziel.
Curious, you mentioned before about special teams and looking at the stats and how you guys aren't working on it. Is there anything like one of those stats or 2 of those stats? Is it some of the like punt net or?
Yeah, that's the big one. I mean, I think we've got to be able to punt the ball better and cover it better. That's a good one. You'd like to be a little better in kickoff return and punt return as well. You know, we've kind of skewed the stats a little bit punt return wise, in that you know we had one long one for a touchdown and then the rest were not very good. We'd like to get back to where we can block some kicks.
How will it, I mean, I think you mentioned before about, you know, maybe seeing some new things. Like, how will it be different in terms of whether it's scheme or participation?
Just different schemes. It's just different.
How do you go about kind of figuring out, here's what we want to do? Is it just finding teams that are successful and trying to copy, or is it?
Well, guys have done it. I mean, you know, it's like I said, I've coached 38 years. I've punted about every way you can punt. And we've run all kinds of returns and punt blocks, and you assign it to the individual coaches, and they research it and look at what they think they will like to do and how it fits your personnel, and that's kind of what you do.
Are there different guys that maybe hadn't been on special teams before that are?
Not really. It's going to be, you know, there'll be some younger guys who haven't played before, but you know,
mostly older guys.
Well, it's guys. It's you know, I mean, they'll pick out guys on kickoff return that they think can get it done, and you know, right now we got 3 or 4 guys back there returning. We'll pick one. Same for punts. Just kind of go.
Is Diedrich someone that could be in the kick return?
He's back there now returning kicks. I don't know that we want to do that with him, but he can do it.
And Marcus, I imagine that would be the same kind of thing with him. being careful.
Gervonta's back there. Nathan Cottrell's back there. I think Lynn Griffin's back there. Omari, there's several guys back there, so they'll sort it out.
What do you think makes a successful kick return guy? Is it being able to run through tackles or vision?
Yeah, vision. It's less like being a good runner. Willing to hit it up in there. And doesn't hurt if you can run fast.
No hesitation.
Yeah.
What were the problems with the kick return in particular last year?
Well, I just don't think we're very good at it. We didn't, we didn't do a good job with it.
Couple more for Coach.
You mentioned before about not having two-a-days, and I'm curious, was that kind of a progression of kind of figuring out, I think we're better off?
It's when school starts. The conference office gives you a date that you can start practice, and you have 29 practice opportunities before the first game.
Right.
So if your school starts later, then you're not going to have as many two-a-days because you can get all those opportunities in before you play. If if you start school sooner, once you start school, sometimes it limits you to one a day, so you're forced to try to get two in before that happens.
Right.
For us, we'll get the way our schedule went. I think we'll get 27 or 28 in, which is good enough. That's about what everybody gets. Nobody hardly ever gets 29.
Right. Is there a benefit? Like, would you consider moving the start date back?
You can't move it back. It's from the first game. They assign you when you can come in.
Right. But is there?
You mean earlier?
Moving it like 2 or 3 days after. So would you want to compress the time? Is there any benefit to doing that so you can have 2 days, or would you just rather?
Well, you don't have that choice. They tell you when you can report.
Okay.
And then they give you those opportunities. So if I went two a day, then I would run out of practice opportunities a week before we played.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Didn't you have summer finals run into the back end of it a little bit too? Like I think right before y'all's camp.
That didn't have anything to do with not having 2 a days. We could have.
No, I just meant starting earlier.
We could have actually had one, I think.
Yeah.
But
Anything else for Coach?
Last question about it. So, how are the rules different previously that you would have more 2 days than there are now?
It just depended on when school started. You had it's always been you had 29 days, 29 practice opportunities.
Uh-huh.
So like if when they changed the rules, you couldn't have two a days in a row.
Right.
Used to, you could have them back to back to back to back. So you came in later.
Right.
And when they spread it out, they give you that date because it's spread out. Even if you wanted to do 2 a days, you can only have them every other day. You'd have to have a 2 a day and then one, and then a 2 a day and then one. You can't have them back to back now. The rules have changed.
Thanks, Coach.